Good morning. Today is Sunday, August 13th, 2023. And this is the Bitcoin weekly price forecast. So we're looking at where Bitcoin went in the past week and where it could potentially go in the future. So right now we're about mid-August. As you can see, this monthly candle really hasn't gone anywhere. I wish I had a ton to talk about this week, but I really don't. So we see this little monthly candle. It's basically been ranging. It's a doji candle. It's going up and down and up and down and up and down, but not really going anywhere directionally. At this point, we can look at the logarithmic chart, kind of see where we're at. We were looking at the regular chart, so let's look at the logarithmic chart now. If we take a channel, we draw it to here, bounced off of there, and we come potentially up to here. And I'll make this gray just because the background is green. Range bound trend. So we see this. At this point, we bounced off of it's a couple confluences there actually. So you bounced off the bottom of the channel, but you also have your 100 moving average, exponential moving average, and you have your 50 moving average. We're above both of those, and we're above the channel right now. So matter of fact, actually, if we draw this right here and pull it out, you can see that we've bounced off once, came back down, retested this channel again, retested it again along with this moving average, and now we're about to retest it one more time. You can only retest it so many times before you start to bounce off into the upwards direction. Long term, I do know that the direction is up. Again, anytime you're dealing with the market, you never actually know anything, but probabilistically, and based on historical data, we're going to go up in the near future. So at this point, that is kind of a good sign, right? So we've tested a couple things. So again, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then it could be a rocket up to the upside. Going down to the weekly chart, you can see it a little bit more clearly. That's the first test that was I guess this was the first test in the line. So you were in, late last year to early this year in January. You had a test in March. You had a test in June. You have a test somewhere around April. Well, I guess this is August at this point. But at this point, you see all the moving averages are below. Prices above the channel. It's above the moving averages. So that's a pretty good sign. I'm not worried in that sense at all, but we're just kind of in that period of consolidation at this point. There's a lot of accumulation going on right here at 30,000. So you have the big banks, the institutions, all these people who are constantly buying and selling and kind of keeping this price in that tight range. This is very much so a descending triangle. It's a bullish, kind of like a bullish wedge that you have here. So if we take a look at this, draw a trend line, and we'll kind of zoom in on it on the lower time frames. So you have bullish wedge, boom, right here. Price is kind of stuck in this range before it goes up. And then you can do it again. You have a bullish wedge right here. And right here. Again, so consolidation before a major upside reversal. This one wasn't as clear, but I mean, this is more of a bullish flag, I would say. So you had this here, and then you had another top of the range kind of right here. So you just kind of had this consolidation period before it broke down. And what was it? This is the Silicon Valley Bank candle. This is the one that, just kind of rocketed down, then came back up. But if you look at the candles like bar by bar, what you basically have right here is a pin bar. And that pin bar basically tells you that, okay, we've come down, but buyers absolutely rejected that price action and we got right back up within a week, within a couple of days, actually. So we came down and then immediately came back up. And that was a super bullish signal to be able to say that we were going right back up. And you see this was that was a 26% gain in 1 week. This is a 21% gain, and then this one was a 15% gain. So, all great gains. Again, we're up about 100% on the year from the lows of January. But realistically, there have only been a couple weeks in Bitcoin this year that have actually, produced any type of results. The rest of the weeks have been ranging and nonsense, really. If you look at it, I mean, we're at the lowest volatility point that we've been in some good time. So, I mean, again, you can see here, like, this is fine. So, like, March, we're going up and down and up and down and up and down. But the channels are getting tighter. At this point, there's not a ton of money to be made. And there's not, I mean, crypto isn't dead. It's definitely not dead. But it's one of those things where it's like the activity right now, it's on a pause. That's all I'll put it. It's on a pause until we can get either the ETF approved or we get closer and closer to the halving. That's the thing about it. The halving is in April of 2023. So at this point, we are roughly 8 months out from the halving. I'm not sure if you're aware of what's his name. Plan B. Plan B. He's kind of famous in the crypto space. He was the one who made the stock to flow model, and that's kind of deals with commodities. Commodities have a stock to flow, so things like crude oil and gold and other things like that. Bitcoin also has a stock to flow model, like how much is being produced versus the price and other things like that. So his trading plan is basically 6 months out from having you start buying cryptocurrency. Well, you start buying Bitcoin. And then 18 months after the halving, in roughly April, you start selling Bitcoin. At that point, you've experienced the lows and the highs of the bull market. So that's kind of his plan for it. You take a look at the daily chart, right? Let's take a look here. Again, like I said, a whole bunch of ranging. We're above the daily moving average. We're above the daily moving average. At this point, and that's the first time that we you look at all these different time periods. We were slightly above, then we came below, then above. We never really went below the 200 moving average, and now we can barely even tap the 50 moving average. I'm sorry, the 100 moving average. So yeah, 200, 100, and 50 exponential moving averages. We can't even get close to the 200 moving average at this point, and if we did, that would put us at 27,250. I just don't see that being a real possibility. Again, anything is possible, but again, you'd have to invalidate the channel, and you'd have to invalidate a ton of other things. I know last week that I said that 28,500 would be your that's going to be your key zone, because again, that houses the parabola, that houses the long-term trend line, that houses I think it was one more thing. There was maybe one more thing that one more confluence that it had, and I think it was the 100 moving average that it had, right? So now we are currently at the what is this? This is the 4-hour chart. Basically, last week we had somewhat of a run up last week. Within this channel, right? You're seeing a little bit more volatility coming to the space. So if we look at it, this frame right here, nothing. Had a little spike up and just an equal spike down, and then a whole bunch of nothing. Bigger candle, okay, bigger candle. And then again, a whole bunch of nothing. Bigger candles are coming into the market. And now we're still seeing these candles that are shooting up. So the volatility is somewhat coming back, but just on a slow basis, right? That's where we're at. So we're seeing a little bit more volatility. You see we're kind of hugging the upper side of this channel. So that's a good sign. Even if we went to the lower side of this channel, this wedge, I should say, you're still looking at about 28,300. And again, I said last week I said that the confluence point was 28,500 roughly. So again, you're dealing with the bottom side of a bearish wedge. You are dealing with the parabola. You are dealing with the long-term trend line starting at 2023 in January. You are dealing with the 100 moving average on the daily chart. So realistically, we may be stuck here for a while. And you never have a way of telling exactly when things are going to move. But I just don't see us going that much farther, just that much farther down below the bottom of this wedge, because again, there's just too many things in the way. Price tends to usually take the path of least resistance, and if it is able to blow through the path of most resistance, that means there's usually some type of news event or something crazy that's happening in the market. So again, something to look at into. Again, you kind of see the 4-hour on the 4-hour chart. You see these moving averages are very tight. They're very tight with each other. And again, I guess we can probably look at the Bollinger Bands as well. So let's take a look. Bollinger Bands, Bollinger Band width. If I take a look down here, super tight. Let's look at the daily ones. This is, again, 0.03. We made it back down to this line. So you see we had kind of an upswing here. And actually, let me see if I can move that up a little bit. We had a bit of an upswing on that, and then we came down. But right now, we're still sitting at that 0.03, which is about as low as we've gotten. I think I showed it last week to where we had what was it? It was about the last time that we were this low. There were two times: January of this year, and you saw a major rally after that, and then July of 2020. So 3 years ago, it was 3 years ago that we were this low on the Bollinger Bandwidth, and this tight, I should say, on the daily chart at least. And then here you have another confluence, right? So 28,900. So we're sitting right at 29,000. Basically, what it's saying is we're not going to go that much lower. We may consolidate, and that's fine, but we're not breaching unless you have some type of crazy global macroeconomic event that happens. But again, at that point, I think you'll have much bigger things to worry about than whatever the price of Bitcoin is at that point. So I'm still optimistic that we'll get up there. The thing is that we're in the waiting game part. We are in the waiting game part for sure. I talked about the parabola last week, and we can talk about it one more time. You talk about the fact that we've come down here, and again, a parabola is a big swoop, right? So it comes down and it comes back up. Now here's the bottom. Now we're kind of doing this. We're doing a whole bunch of this, a whole bunch of sideways. I mean, you could really draw a range right here. Or even right here, actually. You can draw a range right there, and we've been in that range, and now we broke out of the range, and we're breaking out of the range, and now we're probably to break out of the range again. The next time that we break out, we're going to probably roughly 40K, somewhere in the 30 to 40K range. If I go to the weekly chart, let's go back. I don't like that. Yeah, okay, so here it is. Zoom in a bit. So the next stopping point, like we're right here at price. The next stopping point won't be until about 37,000. And once you get past about 49, 50,000, there is nothing but blue skies ahead at that point. You may have a small stopping point at about 53. Then you have the all-time high that you need to test. So there's only about 3 stopping points. You have 37,000. You have about 48,000. You have 53,000, and then you have about 68,000, which is your all-time high. So you have 4 stopping points over the next, several weeks or whatever, weeks to months. The thing is, I think most of the retail traders have sold their Bitcoin at this point. We're really dealing with institutions at this point, which is going to be the major driver for this cycle. It's going to be your institutional adoption. So I think that's going to be one of the major driving points. And you'll see somewhat of a supply crunch going into the end of this year and then going into next year. So supply on exchanges has been falling since 2020, which also coincides with the halving. We have another halving next year. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens to the production rate once you decrease that production rate of Bitcoin on every 10-minute block that we have. So yeah, I said this is going to be a shorter video, but we're at 13 minutes right now. So yeah, I think that's pretty much all I have to talk about today. There's not a ton at this point. Again, we've been ranging for the past, what was that? That's June 26th to almost, let's just call it August 26th. So it's been about 2 months that we've been doing nothing but ranging in a very tight channel at this point. So again, good times ahead. Let's just say that we somehow get to the, the bottom of this wedge. That puts us at August 28th. So again, that would have been exactly, from June 26th to August 28th. That would have put us exactly at that period. So that's all I got. Again, this has been Chris Talks Crypto. I hope y'all have a great trading week. Check out the website, christalkscrypto.com, and see any type of crypto resources that you want there. Follow me on Instagram, and you guys have a great day. All right, take care.